Welcome back to my channel. This is a reading for Gemini, and oh my gosh, it seems like November seems to be a turning point for everyone. I've only done a couple of reads here so far, but what I'm looking at is some pretty amazing cards for all of you. It does seem to be a very soul journey for a lot of you. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of connection necessarily in the month of November. I mean, it's not to say you're not connecting with people. It just means that there's a lot of inner work that seems to be taking a lot of the time and energy for you this month. Anyway, we'll get right into it. Okay, so I am just going to reference my book just because I don't do this one very often, but this is the card of New Moon, and this is New Beginnings as the doorway depicts. So this is you getting a fresh start. It feels like you're taking this, new steps into something that you would consider a new beginning. So something feels like a fresh way of looking at at life, or a fresh way of dealing with a situation. Somehow there's kind of a sense of renewal, where there's a silver lining around something, or you're feeling like there is, after a dark period, some sense of newness. But either way, something is returning from that, maybe a dark night of the soul, but some kind of darker time. But either way, you are starting to take a look at everything from a positive outlook. And again, it's an amazing start for all of you, it seems, in November. So whether you're starting some kind of a new phase or a new outlook, it could be all. But either way, I feel like you're gifted this new beginning so that you can actually start to renew your life and feel like things are okay to start moving again. So you may have been in sort of a holding pattern previously. But either way, this is where you're getting new creative ideas. You might be starting a new project. You might be taking on new responsibilities. But either way, you're acting with more of an intention to start something new. And again, it's still something that is kind of referencing, because it seems to be around your knowledge center here with wisdom. This is the clarifier. So it feels like you are feeling renewed in some way in the way that you're dealing with something. So it's like you've learned something, some kind of wisdom from the past, or a lesson, where you've got more knowledge now. You're dealing with something from that perspective, where you're able to see something and see something through because you're researching it. There's a lot more of an energy around gathering information. There's a lot more time and devotion to something here. And I feel like some of you might be relying on a mentor as well. But either way, there's wisdom coming through from something, whether this is books or researching something. But either way, there is, it makes you feel alive. It makes you feel like, you've got more energy or renewed sense of, wellness or intuition. Everything seems to be broadening here because you've got insight. There's more information. Wisdom is not just experience, it is where you can actually apply a truth because of something that's been learned along the way. So, but there is still more of an information gathering, of knowledge, and experience, that kind of thing that comes through with this card. And it definitely speaks to things being in the real world, and there being a success around things that revolve around possibly books, or a new beginning in around novel writing, or novel, or writing, something like that, period, because you're getting wisdom. This is something that takes time to accumulate. So it's definitely in that space of building on something. And there's also, again, gathering information from other people. Those are mentors or friends that have a lot more information than you do about a particular subject. That kind of is the energy around that. The card of sovereignty means you're kind of doing this on a singular basis, meaning you are dealing with people, possibly, but again, it feels like that this journey is, or has been, kind of a lonely one, or it's been a space where you have, you're feeling a lot more confident, about who you are and the direction that you're going in, because I feel like this has been a space where you've had to balance something, you've had to kind of take responsibility and make some decisions, hard decisions, that kind of thing, to be this self-aware and to trust, and self-care, self-esteem, all of that comes into play here. And it's being executed in a very practical way. So it's about firm boundaries. It's about really getting a sense of how you might be a little guarded as well, protective as well, something along that line. But it definitely still feels like you're owning your responsibilities or your change, because it's putting you into a place of feeling empowered. And this is definitely making you feel like you have some control over your life in some way. So again, we're always constantly renewing ourselves, but this is definitely a space of transforming you, stepping into your power, and attracting big things for yourself. And it's almost like something that's come through that's giving you the sense of, okay, now I know that I do have an ability here. I can trust in myself. It's something like that that comes through and kind of puts you into that powerful seat of, feeling like maybe your commitment to something is really paying off here, something along that line. But there's definitely pure possibility, renewing, transforming is what the card speaks to here, and kind of moving into that next step for yourself, because it leads to pleasure. So there's something really amazing that's going to be coming through here. And whether you hear about it and it's still yet to come through, but either way, there's a sense of that energy. It's making its way to you in the month of November, because you've got more of a focus and you're definitely a lot happier in this period. And you're more less along the lines of being overwhelmed and more about able to cope with what's coming in here, because now you're starting to see, what destructive patterns were around you, and you're getting rid of those things because you're letting go of a big part of yourself that was kind of causing you blockages or stress. And not allowing you to immerse yourself in something joyful. So you're letting go of worries more so in the month of November than you have before. So you're finding that there's more fun coming in for you in this period. So whether that's you're leading yourself out to an activity or doing something or going to a place where things are a lot more emotionally charged. And again, there's just a lot more laughter, a lot more play. And of course, you are attracting a lot more of that energy to yourself as well, where you want to be able to have a good laugh and to kind of lighten things up, because you're in that space here where you're attracting things to you, which means you're also more magnetic this month. And it also speaks to you're not trying to attract the things that don't resonate with you anymore. So it's not saying everything has to be positive, 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 but it is avoiding those extremes. So you're staying out of a negative mindset more so here, and you're really starting to think about your connections to the four pillars. There's something I made a reference to in another, I should have left it in for Cancer as well. But anyway, I'll just make mention of it here too. You're just growing into attracting better relationships or better positivity, more creativity, like attracting things that help you to feel happier in your life. So whatever it is that you were wanting, that seems to be coming through here. So what I wanted to say here as well is there was a book that I was reading, and this was about it was about a fellow. It's actually called Build the Life That You Want by Arthur C. Brooks, and Oprah Winfrey, and how they both realized that they were on the same mission. He did it through academia, trying to find a level of happiness where he wasn't happy. He was actually somebody who was born with more of a negative kind of mindset, meaning just that, chemically there was a lot more depression in the family, or that kind of thing is sort of what he references there. And so it was going to be a battle that he had to sort of counter in that way as well. He came across people that would say, oh, just be happy and that kind of thing. And it didn't really resonate to you at the core, because it's more of a chemical imbalance versus just a mindset. Although the mindset can create new balance and new chemicals as well. But it's really hard when you're in a low period to try to remember all the things that make you happy, or even if you didn't know what they were, how do you come to that understanding? So again, it's how do you build a life with purpose and meaning? How do you find some certainty and be confident again? And he was actually somebody who took on courses. He actually teaches through Harvard University psychology happy courses, how to be happy. And the idea behind it is that, he did it again through academia. So when he wrote about it, when he spoke about it, when he taught about it, this helped him to create kind of a baseline. And he was doing it so consistently that he eventually just became happy by virtue of the things he was immersing himself in and exposing himself to. So again, he did it through more of an academic space, whereas Oprah Winfrey did it through more mass media and interviewing and that kind of thing. So however you come through to it for yourself. But he said for him, when he studied things like, let's say, astronomy, he said that you looked at a star and you realized that you couldn't change the star, kind of everything. There were certain things that operated outside of yourself, but he needed the practical knowledge, but not just knowledge that he could observe. He actually needed knowledge that he was able to act on. So, and then he started looking at himself, breaking it down, what are my happy days? What brings me to a trigger? Who are the happiest people in the world? When was I the happiest? When was I the unhappiest? What were the things going through my head when I was the unhappiness? He just started spending time observing his well-being levels and then his own patterns. And by virtue of studying how he suffered and what were the benefits that he, derived from that suffering, in other words, making himself the experiment based on his own data, he was able to make a gratitude list, pray more, meditate more, whatever it is for you. But he was able to change his behavior by doing the opposite of that. So when he was sad or angry, which he indicated was quite significant, then he was able to change that simply by, he actually ran a nonprofit organization. And again, he started writing about happiness and putting it into real life applications. And then that's when he found he was actually happier. It actually shifted his thinking because he started to believe in the bonds of happiness, the bonds of love, the relationships between people. And because as a researcher, he was pulling from philosophy and psychology and economics, neuroscience, all of that. And by virtue of experimenting on himself, he realized, or he was finding out what worked, and he was able to take it out of toxic levels and bring it into a mission statement. So he started adopting habits of those that were happiest. And by looking at his own data, he was able to shift his thoughts from what he used to think into something that was completely polar opposite to that. He started looking at his pillars of strength, which were the things like family and spirituality, or whatever spirituality is for you, but friendships, work, your faith, that kind of thing. So what are the things about how can you construct a better life for yourself? What would you want to see? And so by virtue of what you want to see, you were able to figure out, how do I create that, and not hang on to what I think it should look like, but what can I actually do to facilitate it? Because sometimes people don't believe that you're offering something positive, and so they need to see it more consistently before they believe it. And then by virtue of each little shift, each time you make it that's positive, things eventually start to fall in line, and other people believe that as well in you. So, life is constantly in crisis, and it sometimes pulls at us and it's distracting. But he was saying that we can't wait for the perfect moment when we feel inspired to write or inspired to do things, or we can't wait for the moments when we're not angry or our luck to change, because life is constantly in crisis. So, and able to, improve, you need to be able to work around all those states and still be productive. So there was actually something that they found as well. It was some studies that were done about happiness in general. And they actually found that, Americans were saying that they weren't too happy. That rose from 10% to 24%. And again, there was more suffering from depression, increasing dramatically, and especially among young adults. So, what we do as, when we're out of that bracket, resonates to the younger generations as well. So very happy had fallen from 36% to 19%, according to the book. So what he was saying is how to get yourself out of that slump is being okay in all those negative states and still being able to operate. There are plenty of people, and he references a lady named Albina. She was 90 something years old, and she was actually, she didn't have a great life. Her husband left her. Her father was incarcerated because he was some kind of a doctor in the war times. And so she was, it's not that she didn't feel angry or sad or lonely. It's not that she had a lot of finances. She was left in impoverishment because her relationship fell apart and all kinds of things. But she became the CEO of her emotions and of her life. And so she, based on that, made decisions. And the decisions are the things that, as long as you're making an informed decision, you can manage your life in a new way. So she took back her own power. by becoming a teacher. And so, you can't solve your problem with the old thinking. You have to solve your problem with a new sense of information coming through here. You need an instruction manual for your down days. How do you get through? Because life is going to be hard, and it can be even harder for some people than others. But it's about, how do you learn from it? How do you grow through it? How do you fix your life based on effort, patience, and practicing those skills until you make some progress? Because the progress won't be immediate for sure, but it is going to provide you with a new beginning. So you don't want to delay, because he makes a reference as well when he was younger, when he was 35, 45. He said, I couldn't have known that I was going to be my happiest at 59. He said, because based in that negative framework and those old thoughts, he said, I had a long way to go. He says he still has a long way to go, and he still has plenty of bad days, but he's okay operating within the chaos around him, because he's getting more comfortable in knowing how to grow from that. He says he knows there's rough times ahead. He's not afraid of them. He's confident. There's a lot of progress that he's made already. And so based on the fact that he's made progress, there's more hope. And so again, and able to be happier, he wants to teach some of those secrets to others. And again, it has to do with being consistent, making little small shifts each day, practicing the skills, that you can improve on how you want to see yourself. Do the opposite to, so as they say, reverse engineer your life. So again, he's created a mission statement that he reads each day. So you start taking a look at his mission statement was, um, he seeks to help you see that you're not helpless against the tides of life, but that the greater understanding of how your mind and brain work, you can build the life you want by starting inside with your emotions and then turning outward to your family, friendships, work, and spiritual life. So who you are inside gets reflected back to you in those that you come in contact with. So it's important to be aware of those things. But anyway, like I say, it takes dedication to a particular intention, mission statement, idea, reading, writing, immersing yourself in what you want to change so that you have an effective, you make effective progress, and practice it every day toward, the end that you're looking for. So again, be the CEO of your mind, be the CEO of your life, be the hero in your own story, and make decisions that are not from the old negative mindset that created the problem, but from a new mindset. So you have to shift how you see the world, shift how you see yourself, shift it into a way of empowerment versus suffering, to start getting on with life and business and have a much better life. That's how you construct your future. So anyway, that's just a little tidbit. I'll read more about that book as I go through. But anyway, that's what I have for you for the month of November. Everything's excellent. You have a new beginning. You are definitely feeling a lot more empowered. Like I said, you're doing it from a very wise place. There's a lot of research that's still going into this month. You're starting to attract the things that you want. Things are coming to you. And there's a lot more lightheartedness, happy moments, and laughter to look forward to. Keep moving forward. Never give up.